Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am scrapbooking this photo of snacks on our flight to Disneyland when I took Lana for her birthday. I'm using my Kill-A-Kit lovely leftovers for the month of March, and this is today's sketch. Now it does call for 4 photos. I'm using one, and I'm also going to turn this bad boy this way and probably make those arrows go that way. So let's see what I can do. All right, so I am using one of my favorite papers. I actually pulled in 2 sheets of paper from my stash to play with my lovely leftovers kit. I have this sheet of gray cardstock, and I also have the yellow paper here that is one of those travel papers from Paper House. I was trying to get the tag. I use this paper so much and have so much of it, I should probably know what it is, but I just never remember it. It is from the Explore Your World collection, and it's a cut apart on one side and this gorgeous, gorgeous yellow on the other. And I just think that this yellow is a perfect yellow. It's not too bright, it's not too dull, it's not neon, it's just that right shade of yellow that just makes my heart happy. So I have cut out some rectangles, and these are about, I want to say about 5.5 by 6.5 ish, somewhere around there. And I go ahead and cut out some isosceles triangles. Maybe not exactly isosceles triangles. Whatever. I cut out some triangles. There are no right angles on them, and I'm using my distress edger here to kind of just rough them up. So I wanted to have some sort of distinction between the paper and the cardstock, since I'm using a cardstock as a base. And I didn't want to ink, and I didn't want to outline. So I just decided to rough up the edges. So I am using this plaid paper and my favorite yellow paper here. We're just going to make these rough. Now I'm not going ridiculously hard. Sometimes when I rough up my edges, I really rough them up, and I go ahead and I've got tears on the edges, and they're lumpy and bumpy, and it's just a whole mess in a good way. But this time I'm not going to do that. So I figure out that I'm going to make the triangles here, and I am flipping the sketch up on its side. I probably should have flipped the sketch in my corner so that you could see how it went, but it's okay. I figure you guys can figure out and kind of tilt your head a little bit, maybe. I don't know. I have this red paper, and I trim it down to about 4.5 by 6.5, and I'm going to put my snacky photo on top of it. But I decide that I'm going to distress this edge as well. I figure I've already distressed one, might as well go ahead and do it with the rest. Now, this red is not an exact match of the red that is in the plaid, and the yellow is not an exact match of the yellow that is in the plaid either. But I feel like they're all close enough. They all have similar tones that it's not going to be, like, it's not going to be weird. I am using some fun foam to go ahead and pop this photo up off of the triangle. And this is where I realize that my photos and the triangles are in a really, really similar size. So I was going to kind of do some wonky triangles. Ultimately, I decided not to do that. I just decided to layer my photo up on top of the triangle and then bring in a little bit more. So because I covered up so much of this triangle over here on the left, I just felt like, you know, it was uneven and it felt imbalanced, and I just needed to bring that balanced feeling back to the layout. And I do that by grabbing the cut-offs of my triangles. And of course I'm going to rough up these edges too. And then I'm going to tape them down here to the background of the layout. So that way I still have the alternating triangle patterns where it's going to be the plaid, the circles, the plaid, the circles, the plaid. And it just kind of fills up the bottom of the page a little bit more. It was feeling a little bit naked, like there was a whole lot of white space, and there was a little bit more than I actually wanted for this layout. So adding in these little triangles just works. It really just works. So now I'm looking at this because I'm like, what in the world am I going to do next? I have no idea what I'm going to do. My original thought for this upper part up here was, instead of having these triangles, which are pointing down on the left-hand side of the sketch, I was going to do airplanes across the top, because this is the snacks inside of an airplane. But that idea didn't come either. I really wanted to use this lovely word somewhere as well, just because it had a good color match for the yellow. But you know, that didn't work out either. The word would have worked, like, if I could have figured out a way to include it, but I really didn't want to call it lovely. I try again later on in the process, but I don't stick with it. So I have this little yellow puffy sticker that says "Stay Golden," and I kind of overlap that with this label. And then, because it is popped up on fun foam attached to the photo, I put a little foam dot where the label leans off of the photo, and that allows the label and the puffy sticker to lay flat instead of it kind of like dipping down backwards to the bottom of the page. Now, I am trying to use up this kit, you guys, so I'm really digging through and trying to figure out what I can use to make it work. So I have this chipboard that says "Good Vibes," and then I also have the Scrap and Happy Studio epoxy flare that has the airplane on it. Now, this is a biplane here on the flare, and we were definitely not in a biplane. We were in a commercial airliner, but that's okay. It's still an airplane, and you kind of get the feel, at least. Now, I do accidentally rip this sticker, so I have to put the piece that I ripped off back onto the letter M, which is kind of ridiculous that I pieced it back on, because I put my epoxy flare right there, and I cover up just about everything with the flare. But it's okay. It's okay. So I go ahead and get those stuck down to the page, and then I decide to fill in this kind of naked space right here with an arrow sticker as well. The other stickers, I'm not really feeling them for this layout. They're a little bit more softer and pretty, and this layout is not. I still think this is a pretty layout, but it's not soft. It's not soft. So I grab this foam word that says "Create," and I place it over here so that it says "Create Memories," but I don't like this gap that I have going on. I have a couple problems now that I'm building up these embellishments right here next to the title. I had that naked area above the arrow, so I go ahead and solve that with a Vicky Bouton sticker. And then my title is feeling weird as well. I'm actually adding a little bit more adhesive to that Vicky Bouton sticker because it will pop up. So I move over the word "create" to the left just a little bit, and it feels a little bit better. And then I am trying now to figure out what I'm going to do across the top of my page. So I decide I'm not going to do the triangles. And now I'm realizing that this is a little crooked too. I'm not going to be doing the triangles. I'm not, it's fine down here on the bottom. And basically it's fine down here on the bottom because I made it read as a rectangle. It reads as a rectangle to me. It reads as a pattern paper rectangle. If it doesn't read it to you and your eyes are definitely drawn to the triangles, that's just the way your brain works. Mine reads this more as a rectangle now. So I'm going to use the yellow paper, and of course I'm going to distress the edges of this as well, since I've already distressed the edges everywhere else. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me not to distress the edges up here if all of the other papers are that way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get that here across the top, and then you can see it's really crooked right there. And then I'm going to kind of embellish this up a little bit. I need more. I also need to finish the title, because it's not just going to say create memories. It's going to say more than just that. So I trimmed down another piece of the plaid, and I do that because I felt like I needed to have some sort of something between the big expanse of yellow triangle here on the right and the big expanse of the yellow rectangle at the top of the page. So my title over here, or the portion of it, kind of blocks that, and there gives a little bit of a break, I guess, between the two yellows, even though the gray is there and it does break it up that way. Just felt like I needed a little bit more. So here I go again, trying to get that lovely word on there. And I was actually okay with it on top of this plaid. I think, though, what I realized was I have these three basically circular elements over here by the title, and I needed to add circles some other place because it just felt like there was a little bit of awkwardness there. So now I grab some foam thickers from my stash, and I'm just going to spell out the word snacks, because that's what these were. These were snacks. So we had this beef jerky, and then also these crispy cheddar crackers, which kind of looked like Cheez-Its. Kind of tasted like Cheez-Its too. So there is that. Now, this gray is a pretty close match to the gray that's in the background. And I don't feel like that N disappears so much that you can't figure out what in the world the word is. And then I'm going to use some letter stickers and spell out the word eat. So I was going to just have create memories, eat snacks, but I decided that I needed a little bit more of a pop of red than just what I had there with the word eat. So I grab these Simple Stories tile stickers, I grab the ampersand and place that in front of eat, and then I take the W and the E, so now it says we create memories and eat snacks. And this is where I was attempting to use that lovely bit. So it was going to say we create memories and eat lovely snacks, but I was like, you're forcing that a little bit too much. So the lovely word came off of the page. It is back into my kit, and I will just have to figure out something else to use with that. Now the kit needs to be, I need to make some pretty, I say pretty in quotes, pretty layouts with the kit, because I've got some flowers and things like that still chilling here, and I've got a ton of that grunge board, ton of it. I think I've only used it on 1 or 2 layouts, so I probably could have pulled it out and used something on here. So next layout, definitely got to use the grunge board. So I have this round circular sticker that says happy, and I figured it was a great color match, and then I just find the little flare on here that says vacay. And honestly, you guys, vacay drives me insane. I don't know what it is about it, but it just drives me insane. However, I really like the way it looks on this layout, so we are leaving it. Now I go to my stash and I pull out these little cork sticky elements. I'm going to double up the arrow over here on this left-hand side where all of these circular bits are. I do 3 little plus signs over here next to the word snacks, and I'm just trying to figure out where else I can put anything. I decided to do this little polka dotted circle as a center in the flower, and then I'm going to use another arrow over here in this embellishment cluster up at the top, but I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go yet because I'm just not exactly sure. I know I'm putting enamel dots over there, so I need to decide, I'll figure out where those dots are going before I put on the arrow. Now these enamel dots are from Close to My Heart. I don't know how to describe it. So enamel dots usually are flat at the bottom, but I feel like these go in a little bit. So they kind of look like a drop of water almost, if that makes sense to you. It makes sense in my mind. It might not make sense in yours. A lot of things make sense in my mind that don't make sense in other people's minds. Imagine that. So I go ahead, I get another arrow sticker down, and then that arrow cork piece. I have my white enamel dots everywhere, and then I'm toying with the idea of some journaling with my white pen. But honestly, I'm not going to journal on this layout. It's basically a filler page, so that I can have pages in the album and not have gaps. So there it is, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again real soon for another video.